150,000 students sitting this year's West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination may not be able to enter the university next year.
The KNUST Vice Chancellor, and he expressed concern that last year the lessons were that the admissions process was so tight and that a lot of their students had to come in late, and so they are trailing. They are really struggling to catch up academically.
Now, this is also because some of the public universities have decided not to offer admissions to applicants who write the WASSCE this year. Now, why should this situation, or how can this situation be resolved? This is today's big story. My name is Bright Nanafo. Thanks so much for staying there. The University of Cape Coast, the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi have indicated their intention not to offer admission to applicants who write the WASSCE this year. According to them, by the time the results of the 2014 WASSCE would be released, they would have closed the admissions. However, the Ministry of Education has given an assurance that the candidates will not be denied admission to the public universities of their choice. According to a Deputy Minister of Education in charge of tertiary education, Mr. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, all public universities were supposed to reserve quotas for those who would write the WASSCE in 2014.
Our checks indicate that UMAT has not taken the decision that WASSCE candidates for 2014 will not be considered for admission. I've spoken to the Vice Chancellor of UMAT and he's surprised about the publication. I've spoken to the KNUST Vice Chancellor and he expressed concern that last year the lessons were that the admissions process was so tight and that a lot of their students had to come in late, and so they are trailing. They are really struggling to catch up academically. But I have made it clear to the Vice Chancellor that these are matters that we would rather wish we discuss, and that government takes interest in these major decisions that you know the public universities that continue to subsist on government of Ghana resources. It's important that there is some broader consultation. Even the parents, it's important to consider parents, to consider the views of the public. So we have stated as government that we would wish that the universities and in this case KNUST, we are yet to reach UCC to find out, because these are the three universities that have come up. I'm happy to know that the other universities have not made any such consideration. It is also important that even if we think results can be released earlier, we can talk with WAEC. So we would engage with WAEC also to see how they can also look at their calendar. We do not think that institutions should not cooperate and be able to coordinate properly so that it will then affect, students.
Now, Mr. Blackwell says the deadline given by the universities for submission of application forms was not applicable to those who will be writing in 2014.
Because at that, age, if they are made to stay at home for 1 year, you don't know what will happen in a whole year. It may not be the best in terms of the upbringing of the students. I would want to say that at this stage, there's no need for panic, because as policymakers and as regulators, the National Council for Tertiary Education, too, we have been in touch with them. They are also not supportive of the few universities who are contemplating this. So we want to assure the public that this year's admissions will continue uninterrupted. So far as we are concerned, the door has not been closed to anybody. It's good that some are starting now. The advantage is that it will clear the backlog. There are two sides to the coin. As we speak for those who are now going to write, let us also remember those who wrote and could not get a chance to enter. So it is good that they are also being mopped up. That is why last Saturday at the University of Cape Coast congregation, I suggested that our universities should start considering double or multiple mainstream admissions in a year. In other jurisdictions, you can see admissions taking place in August, and then there are admissions also in January. Some universities outside even have 3 admissions in a year. Why can't we consider that? I know there may be constraints about staffing, about logistics. All of these issues can be discussed.
Now, let me read to you the deadline for submission of applications for these 3 universities. The UCC would have the 30th of April 2014. That of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is April 11, while the UMAT, the University of Mines and Technology, has March 21, 2014 as the deadline. Let me go onto the phone lines and speak to the Deputy Registrar at the University Relations Office of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Vincent Ankama Lomote. Mr. Lomote, thanks so much for joining us on today's big story.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Lomote, 2014 and will be desiring to enter the universities. What is the problem with their admissions to the various universities? In your case, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
Thank you. As you may have noticed, we've put up our advert, and our deadline is 11th of April. Now, for those whose results are currently ready, and you may recall that we have a large chunk of them from last year's admission.
Right.
They are eligible now to apply for admission. By the time those who are now going to write their exam, by the time their results will be ready, you will realize that academic work would have started. And so for us, what informed this decision is that we had a situation where you had a 4-year system running, a 3-year senior high school system also running. And so we went into that agreement in order to address a crisis that would have occurred last year. Now that the 4-year system has phased out, we're trying to go back to the old system where you apply with your results, and that informs your choices. And again, it takes us to a situation where we can now run a full system with semester.
Right.
Hitherto, for the past 2 years, we've not been able to do that. It's a lot of pressure on students, on staff, and everybody.
So in effect, anyone who writes the WASI in 2014 is ruled out of getting admission to KNUST.
For now, that is the situation.
The Minister of Education is worried. Is there no way we can help these students?
Well, there could be options. And so once the ministry works it out and brings out the modalities, the adults are open. It could be discussed and look at the feasibility. If it is okay, why not the university will adopt?
Now, you talk about options. Which ones quickly comes to mind?
Well, as you indicated, you said the ministry is making suggestions. And so we're saying that, yes, they can work out the full modalities and then discuss with management. And then the universities will also look at it and see how feasible those modalities could be. And then it can be adopted.
But from your end, you do not see any way these students could be helped?
For now, no, unless we go back to the same system that we had last year and 2 years ago. And again, the pressure will be on. You wouldn't have a full system with semester.
Last year, the same situation occurred, and how you dealt with it, was it satisfactory? How would you describe the way it was dealt with?
Well, it was a contingency arrangement to absorb two streams of candidates. And you would realize that we have so many applicants, and yet just about half were qualified. Now, that situation is not ethically correct. When the candidate doesn't know his or her results and goes in to apply for admission. So after the phasing out of the 4-year system, we thought it wise to go back to the old system where you write your exam, you have your results in hand, and then you apply for admission.
And because of that, 2014 students will have to go through the process and perhaps wait for one more year before they can begin to seek admission.
For now, yes.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. Vincent Ankama Lomote is the Deputy Registrar at the University Relations Office of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Now, let me also read this to you. Although the University of Ghana has indicated that it will wait for applicants who will write the WASI in 2014 to apply for its programs, it has set April 11, 2014 as the deadline for the submission of application forms for diploma and certificate programs. Meanwhile, the National Association of Graduate Teachers is also advocating amendment of the educational calendar to enable senior high school graduates who are awaiting results apply for admission to public universities. We'll also be speaking to Mr. Christina Daipoko. He is the Vice President of NAGRAD. But let me speak to Mr. Bedrai from the University of Mines and Technology, and he has just joined me. Mr. Ike Bedrai is from the University of Mines and Technology, the registrar. Mr. Bedrai, thanks so much for speaking to us. And according to the Education Ministry, your institution can afford to allow those who write WASI 2014 admissions. Is that the situation?
Well, let me say that as we speak now, the management of the University of Mines and Technology has not taken an official position on this matter.
Right.
What we have done is to put in an advertisement for people who wrote for WASI in 2013, and we have said it includes all others. That lends itself to interpretation. But what we did last year, that's when I'll go there, was to advertise initially for those who wrote in 2013, and then later on, those who wrote in 2012.
Right.
And then later on, when we decided that we would pick those who wrote in 2013, we came with another advertisement, which we did, and we admitted the 2 batches last year. For now, as I speak, management will take a decision, but we have not said we will not admit those who are writing in 2014. We haven't said so.
Right.
Now, when management takes a position, and maybe I'm only conjecturing, if we decide positively, we will do as we did last year, to come up with another advertisement for that batch alone, to make it more open and more widely publicized. So that is the position of the university. We have not said we will not admit. Management will take a position and will come up.
What?
So we dissociate ourselves from the advertisement in the Daily Graphic today. We are not part of the decision. We have not decided. Again, if you look at the publication today, it says that we have said our closing date is the 21st March. We haven't said so. That we do not know the source of this information. Our closing date for those who wrote in 2013 and all others is 30th April.
Not 21st March.
Not 21st March, as publicized or as published. And I do not know the source of that information. And we are not part of any decision to say that we will not admit students who are writing this year. So that is the position of the university.
Were there challenges last year in admitting the large number of students?
Yes, last last year we admitted a large number of students, far beyond our capacity. Maybe we'll do into this year.
Now, tell me, if there were challenges, is the university envisaging similar challenges in 2014?
Sure. I think the challenges are very obvious, but we managed to cope anyway. The University of Mines and Technology in particular needs a huge governmental support, and by way of infrastructure. We have a small campus. We need to open up the spaces to be able to admit more. In spite of all this, we admitted far in excess of what we normally do last year. And if it comes to the crunch and we have to do the same, we will. But honestly, we need a large or huge support from government so that we can open up our spaces. Our concern, apart from lecture theatre, is the laboratories and the workshops, because the programs run in this university are all heavily practically based. We do a lot of practical teaching, so we need much support from government. We are doing our best.
And from what you experienced last year, and for the fact that infrastructure has not changed in any way, it looks as if you might experience same in 2014 with admissions.
Infrastructure has been a big problem, but we managed still to take a large number of students. What we did was to check that the numbers would not overflow. We counted even our tables and chairs, everything, and went to the brim. It is only in respect of accommodation that we did not consider. We assumed that those who would not get accommodation would look for their own, and actually we supported a large number to look for accommodation outside campus. We didn't make that the deterrent. We didn't use that as a problem, but we only looked at the classroom and the workshops and the laboratories. You know, mining and the related disciplines go with heavy doses of practical training, and we need a lot of these facilities to be able to teach the students well. In fact, at UMass, you do a lot of practical work in addition to your lectures. Students even go to industry within the semester and go outside the campus to industry at the end of every semester. So that is the situation here.
And so management is yet to take a decision on whether to admit 2014 WASI students or not.
Yeah, the decision that comes will be put into the public domain. But as we speak now, we have not said we will not admit 2014 WASI candidates. We haven't said so.
Thank you so much for speaking to Mr. E.K. Bedai, is Registrar, University of Mines and Technology. Now, the National Association of Graduate Teachers is advocating the amendment of the educational calendar to enable senior high school graduates who are awaiting results for our universities put in the application. Angel Kabonu is the Vice President. Mr. Kabonu, thanks so much for staying there.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, I'm sure this might have come to your notice, the fact that some public universities cannot admit 2014 candidates who write WASI. Now, you are advocating an amendment of the school calendar to ensure that those who are awaiting results can write. Now, how did this come about? This, if I should call it confusion, how did it come about?
Well, I'd like to say that the development, if it is actually a final decision that has been taken, is absolutely unfortunately and unnecessary. Because we have been running this program for several years and it has been working.
Right.
As why somebody will come up with an unnecessary development such as this beats my imagination. Look, the WASI, the West African Examination Program, is a sub-regional program. And it is not only Ghana that rides that sub-regional program. So it will be very difficult to amend or adjust that program. The program that ought to be amended and adjusted is that of the Ghana Education Service and that of the universities. The two institutions ought to sit down and see how they can synchronize their academic calendar so that the senior high school period will terminate into the first year reopening of the universities. That's all.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, for us to take a mechanical approach to a problem that can easily be ironed out, from my very personal point of view, is absolutely unscholarly. We need to do things and not to bring these things to the public domain and create unnecessary panic. It is absolutely not necessary.
And you are asking for the calendar to be amended. Tell me precisely how and what should be done?
Oh, no, as simple as that. I mean, look, there is even another problem, and I'll use that as an example, and the fact that we are all not thinking outside the box.
Go ahead.
Some universities run sandwich program that helps to upgrade teachers from the current certificate level to degree and master's level, and they run it as a sandwich program. Now, because they have not aligned their calendar to that of the Ghana Education Service calendar, you have a situation where teachers have to be moved. You have to move out of the school, the classroom, leave the children unattended to be able to access those programs. And it is creating so much problem. Why don't we tailor the various long vags in such a way that we have almost the same period for long vacation, and the reopening of the school year becomes the same in all the levels of education, so that those who have finished senior high school, who have finished their exams in, let's say, April, May, and by September, October, their results will be released. So why don't we have the reopening of the first semester in September, October, so when their results are released, they are taken into the university? So for me, I don't see why we are making hula balo after this. We just have to sit down, let's embrace, do some work, and let's readjust.
How would you describe the whole process, the whole confusion that we find ourselves in? How would you say the 3-year, 4-year senior high school has contributed to this?
It has not contributed anything. It has not contributed to the problem in any way. If last year they were able to take a double intake and it was successful, I don't see why 2014, whether they are going to take a single intake, it will create any problem. Let no one create problems where there is no problem. They should go and sit down and find solution to the problem.
The numbers, some of the investors are complaining, the infrastructure, and so it's quite difficult for them.
If they are complaining about infrastructure, how come in 2013 they were able to take in double badge, and in 2014 they cannot take in single badge?
And you think that can be done easily? Very easily?
Absolutely. The issue of double intake in 2013 has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Mr. Kabonu, now this issue of realignment with the calendar in such a way that it can quickly ensure that we don't have, like you said, classrooms without teachers. How difficult is it? Because you are raising it, but it looks as if it's taking a whole long time. It cannot be done. Is it not that difficult?
It can be done. The problem is that people don't want to sit down and make sure it can be done. It can easily be done. People just have to sit down and break their little kingdoms that they have created for themselves and see the interest of the students as the most paramount issue. Within an hour, brains that are prepared to find solution to problems will find solution to the problem. It can be done. Let nobody create a situation as if this is an issue that is a rocket science. It can easily be done, and it ought to be done.
Can NAGRAT perhaps take a lead in this direction?
No, NAGRAT is not does not manage education.
Exactly.
And we as a teacher union are concerned about the children that we have produced, and we are saying that the people who matter in this situation ought to go and sit at the table and find solution to the problem.
Perhaps your alerting them could start the process. That's what I mean.
Well, if they want our input into it, we are ready to give our input into it. But they know the solutions to the problem. They have done it before. I don't see why other people are seeking attention for themselves and creating problems where there is absolutely no problem. And
you will continue to push for that, I guess, push to get this thing resolved very quickly. Mr. Kabunu.
They will. If they need our input, we will. But I'm saying that the solution to the problem is the readjustment of the various academic calendars for them to synchronize with itself. The senior high school after 10 minutes into the university beginning of a year program, and that's all.
Mr. Kabunu is the Vice President of NAGRA. Thanks so much for speaking to us on the big story. And he suggested the realignment of the calendar to fix the problem of classrooms without teachers. And let me quickly tell you exactly what is happening on the tertiary education front. Some public universities I believe that they cannot or will not be able to admit students who will write the 2014 WASI as a result of the fact that infrastructure and perhaps the closure of the period for admission. But the Minister of Education is thinking that this can be resolved and there's only the need to sit down and look at all this. We'll quickly get you more of this later on, but this is wrapping up the first part of the show, and the second part I will be dealing with you, interacting with the team right here. Stay there. I'm coming back in a moment with Gladys. Back to the big story. Time now to stay interactive, and Gladys has joined me. What are we interacting on tonight?
Churches are being speculated that they should pay tax, and they are also suggesting that before they pay, we should rather tax the political parties.
They should pay first.
Alumni.
Before the churches
would pay.
All right. Let's see what our viewers do. Welcome to the show, Gladys.
Thank you, then. Right, so this is where I get interactive with you. Welcome to JN Interactive. You can join this conversation via our social media platforms. The addresses are facebook.com/joynewsontv. You could also send us a tweet on twitter.com/joynewsontv. The handles are @joynewsontv and #JN Interactive. Or you could send an email to joynewsim@multitvworld.com, and let's get talking right here on Joy News on MultiTV on the issue I am just about to tell you. The issue trended on social media today, sincerely, is something I have personally been interested in, and I guess I'm not alone. Well, so trended on social media today are churches and taxes. There have been several arguments on whether or not there should be a legislation that will make sure churches pay taxes. The General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong, says the state must first tax political parties and old students' associations before considering taxing tithes and collections at churches. He's accusing politicians of corruption and suggested government needs to close up loopholes within the tax net and be more responsible in protecting public funds before seeking to rope in churches to pay tax on their tithes. Reverend Opunik argued that churches had been providing social amenities in deprived communities, and a decision to tax them must not be taken lightly. He does not understand why anybody would want churches to pay taxes on their tithes when they are already paying taxes on their investments. He insisted churches pay their staff, pay property tax, and go an extra mile by building schools and hospitals, something they are not required by law to do. Tithes, which is an act of faith, is a donation of 10% of one's salary to God. it is practiced by many Christians, including the 19 churches under the Christian Council of Ghana and umbrella group that unites 19 churches in Ghana. So the council has its members from charismatic, Pentecostal, Orthodox, and other churches. But Ambassador Designate Dr. Tony Edu believes tithes are not gifts and should fall under taxable incomes. He said churches, and I'm quoting, create a moral obligation on members, so it sits outside the realm of gifts. Psychologically, tithes have become an institutional foundation and a requirement for meaningful membership in a church. So that ends the quote there from Dr. Tony Edu. The policy advisor referred to Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams' recent charge on President Mahama to distribute the wealth so that the tithes will come as evidence of how tithes are not voluntary donations. He said there is even a gift tax on the state statute books, and therefore tithes given to churches should qualify to be taxed. Let's take your WhatsApp comments now and see what you have been saying about the issue on WhatsApp. So Emmanuel Jani says, after all the great things God have done for the government, they also want to charge God. Now, wow, this one don't pass. Be careful, oh. Okay, so that's a warning from Emmanuel Jani. Okay, now, wow. Ochin Manba Nana says, this is a big question. Does all government institutions pay tax? If the churches should pay tax, then it should be the one-man churches. Okay, so which are the one-man churches? Okay, so that's coming from Ochin Manba. Junior loves Camry. Says, oh yeah, it's good to pay tax. That's coming from Junior loves Camry. How many Camrys do you have, Junior? Okay, so that's from Junior. Malik Fongo says, the most important question is that, are the churches established for a commercial purpose? The answer is no. Why then tax? I don't agree with them at all. So Malik Fongo do not agree to churches paying taxes. Okay. So Ernest Tempua says, the monies that enter individual pockets are more than what goes to the government. Politicians must pay tax. A teacher who taught the politicians pay a huge sum of their money to tax, I guess. So that's from Ernest Tampua. Okay. Let's see what more we have on WhatsApp. Who is next? Let's just flip quickly. Nana Kweku Mahatma says, they have not accounted for what has been given them and still want more. Despite the fact that some pastors are not putting those monies into good use, the majority of them are using the money for the good of the society. What can be said of the politicians? Okay, so in other words, you are suggesting that churches should not pay tax. Okay, interesting comment. Amuzu Oxygen says, where is Ghana going? Churches to pay tax? It is not fair at all. Prosper Silencer says churches must also pay tax. Simple. That's from Silencer. He's silencing us. We must pay the tax. Simple. Samuel Kevin says if churches are to pay taxes, then church members are doomed. Why do you say that, Samuel? Okay. Let's see who is next. McLean Desmond says, hey, Ghana, churches to pay taxes? Asemo. That's from Desmond McLean. Okay, so let's see who's next. Let me just take one more and then we quickly. Okay, so McLean Desmond. I guess I just have to end on McLean and move on to some other social media. Probably I should go to Facebook and see what you have also been writing on our Facebook wall. So as usual, I wouldn't want to go through the comments so that we can take the post we actually put there, so we can take more of your comments. So let's see. Ochimamba Nana Osei Aqua says, this is a big question. That's all government institutions. Oh, okay, I took this one for our WhatsApp. You've put the same thing on WhatsApp for us. So let me just quickly go down and see. Salis Da Silva says the churches in Ghana now are more shopping malls and supermarkets. They should be made to pay double taxes. Okay, so let's see. McLean, okay, McLean, I took yours on WhatsApp, so let me just skip to the next person. Emmanuel Lai says, no, churches must pay. They don't help the deprived, but rather the established ones because of so-called links they have. They now own universities out of collections and tithes and so-called Kofine Ama. Okay, they are the people who can eradicate poverty in the deprived areas, but they do not even own estates, fleets of cars, and lots of properties. So you think because of their rich status, they should pay tax? Well, so let's taxing religious organizations is not proper, because if they are taxed and the politicians chop the money anyhow, God will punish the country. That's coming from Ignatius Oben. Okay, Joshua Asumeni says Mahama is totally confused. Joshua, why do you? Well, Caleb says, I think the government need prayers and psychiatric hospital to change. Some of you don't take kindly at all. Raman, you see, says, church dues or church tax, fun. Raman, I wish I understood what you really meant. Let's see. Kwame Owusu says, they should pay because they are all selling items in their churches. And just after Kwame Owusu, Pa Bonku says, if they amend that bill, we will still stand against, because for tax we pay, there are no any benefits that have seen from it. Okay, so you're trying to simply say that the taxes you have paid so far, you haven't seen any benefits coming from those taxes. Okay, let's see. David says, please, Ghana, don't do that to bring the wrath of God. If government wants churches to pay tax, but they should not touch tithe because that is holy. Hassan Muntaka says they must pay but still complicate. All right, so as we go on, I'll be taking more. Let me just take the last one, and then we would be talking to some of our viewers and public who really spoke to our cameras. So Patrick says, yeah, some people have taken the churches as their business, and if government wants revenue, then they are not exceptional. So I'll be coming back to what you have been posting on Facebook, so keep the comments coming through. But now, I guess I would want to hit the streets and find out what some of you who spoke to our cameras actually said about whether churches should pay tax or not.
It's not right for churches to pay taxes, because the church stands for what? God. So why pay taxes to who? Is it God or who are they going to pay the tax? To the government. The government, is it God or a human being? So how we pay taxes to government?
They are earning more. Yes, because every time they will be donating from Monday to Sunday. They have been contributing to the church service. So if the government get a little from them, I think it will be better for the government.
You come with one-man church people, that one they will agree on that. But like that kind charismatic churches, one person could do the church. That one they will accept it. But if you come like Roman, Pentecost, Roman and PSB, those ones they have schools in Ghana here. They are helping the country, so I don't think it is good to pay tax for the government.
I believe if they are saying that, it means that they are telling God that he should pay tax, which is not fair. So I don't think it's right for Christian organization to pay taxes. It is not fair.
I would say they are church entity, and normally it's not an organization that normally should make an account for their finances to government, because the same people who pay the taxes to government, they are now going to levy them to pay taxes to government again, then what is the other back of it? So I may suggest that it's not in the right proportion.
To pay tithes in this whole wide world, it means that as assistant pastor of the Christ tax. Oh, excuse me to say. Sorry, I thought tithes. On tax, very fine. I'm not speaking that my name is Richard Osei. And in this whole wide world, God is in control. So churches should pay tax. It's an offering. As a pastor in our church, we collect offerings. But the offerings, that doesn't mean that it's because of offerings we are doing the work. It's good to pay offering. So I must say it's true, churches should pay tithes.
Okay, so those were expressed views as to whether churches should pay tax. But as Reverend Opuni Frimpong said, he says that before churches are taxed, they should first tax political parties and all students' associations. Well, so we again ask on the streets whether political parties should be taxed.
With a political party, they have ways of getting money to their coffers. Whereby then the Electoral Commission have a quota given to them when they are organizing their campaign and those things. They have some incentive package for them. But then government don't have any package for churches. So I may say the political parties should pay taxes.
In politically, seriously speaking, I think that the question is very good. And I admire my way, and may I come in small. And I can come in this way that it's true, churches should pay tithes. And political parties paying tithe to the state, that is something I can't verify.
Political parties supposed to pay taxes because they are human beings. Yeah, human bodies, so they need to pay tax to the government so that the government can get more revenue to develop the city or the country.
Political parties, they are doing campaign, and when they come to power, corruption all everywhere. Yeah. So I think they have money. When they come to power, they save money. So when they go out, they can use the money to do another campaign. So I think they should pay tax for the.
All right, so you are hearing the interesting comments coming through. But the other question is, do you agree or not?
Why the government won't kill us? That one I don't. Why? No. Now everything taxed. Now what are they say? Now what are they come to put prepaid on water, and now to students you should pay tax. Oh, now that one there, I don't think it's good.
They are students, they are paying school fee, they don't have enough on them, and they just want to serve God. So why are they still insisting that they should pay?
No, for the university, I don't think they have to pay taxes because they are students and they don't earn anything, they don't work. Yeah, then they shouldn't pay tax.
Right, so at least everybody totally disagrees that all student associations should not pay tax. Let's see more comments on Facebook, what you have been saying. Okay, so let me start from Joseph Wabin. Hey, after you sold the merchant bank, you have finished the money and now you want church money also? Ha 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 ha. Oh, Mahama, you are okay, I can read all. You see, now you are confused unless you confess that you are the cause of. Oh, come on, Joseph. James Jimmy says, I strongly disagree with it because it is unfair to tax religions. Okay, but interestingly, nobody is talking about whether those other, Emmanuel Tete says, taxes has already been paid by the members of the church in their working places. Okay, Christoph says, churches have done a lot for Mother Ghana. Just look at the number of schools and hospitals built by the various churches. Government must tackle corruption and misuse of resources. Chia! And I'll ask you, Christoph, hey, who said chia? Okay, so Elam Chiwali says, the Reverend is saying the fact. Okay, Nana Opone Sumadu Ebenezer says, I think that they should pay because if we calculate the amount of money these churches make on Sundays and midweek service, it's unprecedented. Raphael Zackley says, everything Mahama, boys are brave. And Rolf, where did they mention Mahama in this post? Okay. So, okay. Barb Watson Jennifer says, what? Mother Ghana? Senanu Philomena says, yes, they should pay. What do they use the money they make for? Okay. Elvis says, Elvis Bediako says the churches should be compelled to pay taxes since they are becoming more richer than the state. And Al Hassan Sumani Jr. says, I strongly and with all sincerity agree with the idea of churches paying tax. Aren't those institutions in Ghana and they, the pastors, are using the church as a means of making money? They should pay. Let me quickly take my last one and then I'll take a short break here. No way churches to pay for politicians to dwell their wealth in. People should be serious. Why should they pay? If anything at all, Islam's African tradition and all other religious groups should also pay tax, and any living in the country should also be taxed. That's coming from Albert. And now I'll catch my breath here. When I come back, I will be talking to somebody on Skype. You're still watching JN Interactive, and at this moment I'm crossing over to our newsroom to one of my colleagues, Jahu Nyan, who will be sharing with us her take on whether churches should pay tax or not. Hello, Jahu.
Hi, Gladys.
All right. Jahu, tell me, should churches be taxed?
Well, I don't know if that question is really apt, in my opinion, because it depends on what kind of tax you're talking about and which aspect of the church. As we all know, the churches nowadays is not just about preaching, they're involved in other activities. And those activities, as far as I know, are already being taxed. So, for example, you cannot operate a business in Ghana, you cannot open a bookshop in Ghana without the Ghana Revenue Authority knowing something about it. So if you're talking about churches, bookshops, yes, they are already having some taxes being charged on it, as well as other things that the churches are involved in. So in a way, they are being taxed already. Every person who is being paid by the church as a member has to the laws of the country. And so, as I said, it depends on what aspect. If you're talking about activity, what aspect wants being taxed. And if we're going to say that churches should be taxed, for me, it's probably going to be small concerning the kind of havoc they wreak on the environment. If you're talking about looking for a group to specifically target when it comes to taxation, but it shows that there are issues when it comes to our tax. Our revenue generation and revenue mobilization in the country. If we are now looking to churches to try and solve some of our money issues, our liquidity, probably as a country, we really need to cut our revenue mobilization.
Jahu, let me also find out. Reverend Opuni also suggested that before the churches are taxed, we should rather be taxing political parties and all students' associations. What's your take on that?
The tax man, Ghana has scored, so you can get the shouts of jubilation, but some of the issues. For all student associations, it might be quite interesting to try and see the taxman try and collect taxes from old students. But when it comes to political parties, as I said, I think it's symptomatic rather than a solution to our revenue issues. We all know that funding of political parties is shrouded in a lot of mystery. People don't know where the money is coming from. Is it coming from sources that we as a people should benefit from? That is a question that we could be asking. But if it is they are made to be largely donations and sponsorship, then taxing political parties might not be the way to go. So we're not going to tax NGOs. I think we need to draw a line somewhere and actually tackle the issues rather than making suggestions that are automatic rather than a real concrete way to tackle our revenue issues in the country.
All right, Jahu. Thank you so much, Jahu, for sharing with us what you think whether churches should be taxed or not. Well, so that was my colleague, Jahu Inyan, who shared with us her take on whether churches should be taxed or not, and whether political parties and all citizens associations should also rather be taxed instead of the churches. All right, so this is where I get to draw the curtain on JN Interactive.
My name is Bright Nanamfo.
My name is Gladys Osei. Thanks for your time.